Question 3, Part A. State the range and period of the function h of x is equal to 4 plus 3 cos of pi x on 2. So the biggest value of h, well, first of all, the range is from the lowest h value up to the highest h value. So the biggest h value, or h max, is equal to 4 plus 3 times, so 4 plus 3 times the biggest value of a cos function, which is 1. So as long as the cos function is repeating like this, the biggest value will be 1. And because the domain here is all reals, that means that the graph will be doing this, which means it will reach its maximum value and it will also reach its minimum value. So therefore, I can make this statement, which is correct, and then 4 plus 3 times 1 equals 7, and that's the maximum value of the h function. The minimum value of the h function is equal to 4 plus 3 multiplied by the minimum value of a cos function, which is minus 1, and subbing that in, minus 1, that equals 1. So from lowest to highest, 1 to 7 inclusive, that's the range of that function. The period is equal to 2 pi divided by n, and n is what x is being multiplied by. Now, just to be clear on that, pi x on 2 is the same as pi times x on 2, and that's really pi on 2 times x on 1, and that is also equal to pi on 2 times x. So from those steps you can see clearly that x is being multiplied by pi on 2, and I encourage my students to circle the whole fraction like that the first few times when they're not sure of what x is being multiplied by here, and it's just a good way of reminding yourself, because sometimes when you have x on 2, some students think it's being multiplied by 2, but it's really 1x on 2, and if you actually circle that, that just lets you know that it's 1 on 2 that x is being multiplied by. So it's a good little technique for that. So 2 pi divided by n becomes 2 pi divided by pi on 2, and writing it with a divide sign like that, then the key here is flip the fraction and change that to times, which I've done in this step. Put the 2 pi over 1, and then pi into pi goes once, pi into pi goes once. 2 times 1 times 2 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, 4 divided by 1 is 4, and that's the period of that function. Part B, solve the equation sine of this angle is equal to 1/2 for x is an element of 0 to pi inclusive. So the first step I'm going to do is change my domain to 2x plus pi on 3 is between what values, and if x is between 0 and pi inclusive, then 2 times x will be between 0 and 2 pi, just timesing everything by 2 to get this step, and then adding pi on 3 to everything, I end up with 2x plus pi on 3 is between pi on 3 and 2 pi plus pi on 3 inclusive. So that's where I'm going to look for my initial solutions in my very first step here. So first of all, sine of what angle is equal to 1/2? This is positive 1/2. So I'm looking in the two quadrants where sine is positive, and sine of pi on 6 is equal to 1/2. So that's my reference angle. And then I'm looking at this other angle here. They're the only two positions for my answers. And this angle here is pi minus 5 pi on 6, which is 5 pi on 6. And because I'm looking between pi on 3 and pi on 3 plus 2 pi, I'm really just looking in that one revolution there, or that within that angle there. So going anti-clockwise from pi on 3, this is the first angle I come to, which is pi minus pi on 6. And then the next one within that 360-degree revolution is this angle here. So all of that angle there is 2 pi plus pi on 6, which I've got written here. So these two solutions here are going to end up being my actual solutions for x. So there are only going to be two answers for this question, or two solutions for x. So my next step is to simplify those two. So this one is 5 pi on 6. This one becomes 13 pi on 6. And the next step is to get rid of the pi on 3, which is equal to 2 pi on 6. So minusing that from both sides in the next step. So 5 pi on 6 minus 2 pi on 6 and 13 pi on 6 minus 2 pi on 6. This becomes 3 pi on 6. This becomes 11 pi on 6. Last step is to divide everything by 2 or multiply everything by 1/2, and that will get rid of the 2 here. So in my next step over here, I've times everything by 1/2, and that's what I end up with. And simplifying this, tops together, bottoms together, so 3 pi times 1 is 3 pi, 6 times 2 is 12. This becomes 11 pi on 12. This simplifies to pi on 4, and this is 11 pi on 12, and that's what x is equal to for this question.